Welcome to the Fit Strong Women Over 50 podcast, episode number 137. Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Jill. Chris and I are the founders of the Becoming Ellie community. Why did we name it Becoming Ellie? As the legend goes, Ellie is the Norse goddess of aging who beat Thor in a wrestling match. I still laugh at that.
I know, it's funny. When she was challenged to the wrestling match, no one expected Ellie to do very well, much less beat Thor. So because we want to be fit and strong as we age, we decided to name our community after her.
Yes, we want to be like Ellie. Be sure to go to the Becoming Ellie website. And Ellie is spelled E-L-L-I. There you can sign up for our newsletter. It's the best way to stay informed about our podcast. Again, that's becomingellie.com.
Now, before we go to our interview, I wanted to give a shout out to all of our listeners who have joined the Becoming Ellie private Facebook group. We're so happy that you found us and have jumped right in. We really like to encourage and support each other there. And hey, Jill, I wanted to let everybody know too, by the way, we are not at home right now. We are in Denver, Colorado, being podcast people. That is, we're learning about new technology and ways of improving our podcast at Podcast Movement 23, which is a conference.
Yes, it is the world's largest annual gathering of podcasters and the podcast industry. So Chris and I are hoping to learn lots of new things and have some good ideas for this podcast when we get back. Yeah. Chris, we also have a shout out today from a comment on our website. PR recently posted this comment. I enjoyed this podcast very much. I have dabbled in intermittent fasting, keto, and anti-inflammation diets for the past 10 years, since perimenopause and beyond. Of the many pearls, the diet that works is the one that you will stick with. Amen. At 62, I find inflammation and chronic injuries due to overuse at the gym have led me to reevaluate my way of eating and exercise and movements. So thank you for helping me stay and keep moving while staying well-fueled. I appreciate the manner in which you address the over 50 crowd. We are still vital, and the information you present is gold. Dr. Shivani Gupta was fabulous too.
Yes. Thank you, TR. And if anybody's wondering, that was a podcast episode about fighting inflammation. And TR commented about it. It was called Natural Remedies for Vibrant Health with Shivani Gupta, episode number 133.
That was a good episode.
It was a great episode. Jill, I'm really excited about our podcast guest today.
Yes, let's go to the podcast. Dr. Danielle Peebles is an author and chiropractic physician. She founded Pro Health Family Chiropractic in 2007 and has worked with thousands of people, helping them regain mobility, strength, and overall well-being.
Dr. Peebles specializes in working with athletes who are suffering from injuries. She recognized that chiropractic care is often overlooked in the pre-surgery and rehabilitation process, but it can add in a quicker recovery.
Many athletes have taken longer than necessary to return to their sports because they are missing this critical element of the recovery process. Dr. Peebles has worked with professional basketball players, football players, and Olympic athletes.
She is the author of Sex Sent Me to the Chiropractor, which uses humor to teach the benefits of chiropractic care. She also serves the community through organizations such as Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority, Inc., and the YMCA O'Fallon Park, where she is a board member. And I believe that's in St. Louis, Missouri, where she lives.
Welcome, Dr. Peebles. We're happy to get to talk with you. What inspired you to become a chiropractor?
First of all, thank you for having me on your show. And that story of how I even came along to becoming a chiropractor is such an interesting turn of events, actually. Ever since I was 6 years old, I wanted to become a doctor. I already knew I wanted to be a doctor. But as I grew older and was learning more about the medical field, I became fixated with becoming a neurosurgeon. So I read all of Dr. Ben Carson's books. I was shadowing at the hospitals. I was always volunteering at the hospital on the neurology floor. Anywhere I could be, I was in that hospital. As I continued my education through St. Louis University undergrad, I was on the pre-med track to go through the school. I was planning to take the MCAT, and I had taken the MCAT, but there was something pivotal that happened the summer before my senior year. I was working in the financial aid office at the time, and I received a phone call from the medical campus at St. Louis U. It was the Office of Multicultural Affairs, and the dean was asking me to come and interview for a position. This particular program that they were having is a program for high school students aspiring to become medical doctors. And I was invited to come and be a program coordinator. What was unique about this opportunity was that they do not typically, I was the first one that was an undergrad that they allowed to apply for the position. They usually have second year med students to do this program, but this particular year, they could only find one second year med student to do the program. At this point, I remind people, you never know who's watching. You never know who is going to speak out on your behalf. But it was at this moment that they were looking for a second person, that an instructor or faculty member I had met one time, Mr. Brown, was impressed by me, and he practically begged them to give the opportunity to me.
How cool is that? It's great to have a mentor, isn't it?
Yes. And I had only met him once. I had no idea. And he said, please give it to Danielle Peebles. So they called me, and I said, okay. But I didn't know that was the case until after I finished the program, of course. And they were impressed with what I had done and the contribution I had made. But I used that to set up this point. The wife of the dean of the Office of Multicultural Affairs pulled me aside, and she said, Danielle, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. And she said, okay, that's very admirable. That's wonderful. Have you thought about having a family? Have you ever thought about having a family? And I said, yes. Now, what's interesting that she asked that question, what's interesting about her asking that question is that when I started undergrad, I was taught to do my value system and prioritize it. And at that time, when I started undergrad, my priority was career and then family. But at the time that she asked me, my value system had just started shifting, and now it was family and then career. And so I said, yes, family is important to me. And I have been thinking about that. I don't want my children to only know the nanny. I saw The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, and I'm still traumatized by all the Lifetime movies. And so I really want to be present in my children's life. I was traumatized years later. It's a great movie. And she said, well, have you ever thought about being a chiropractor? And I said, well, my back does hurt. I need to see one, but I never thought about being one. And she was like, no, Dang, I'm going to introduce you to. And so she introduced me to Dr. Bell, who was a female chiropractor and African-American. And that was more influential than I realized at the time. But she introduced me to her, and that began my track to becoming a chiropractor. I started doing the research to see what they do. What is it that they're about? And I became so in love with everything I was finding. The more information I learned, I was like, oh, this is really, really cool. And so that just continued my passion on the path of chiropractic. And I'm still in love with it to this day. And I get excited with each patient as their body is responding favorably to the care that I'm giving.
That's awesome.
How amazing it is that you just bump into someone and the whole trajectory of your life changes.
Completely changed. I mean, when I met him, when I say it was a program and there were a lot of children, he remembered me. I couldn't tell you what I did or said, but he was like, give it to Danielle Peebles.
That's crazy. That's wonderful.
Yes.
Well, as a chiropractor, you probably know the answer to this question, but I'm not sure I do. Like you said something about your back. How does someone know that they need a chiropractor?
That question has layers to it. And I like to answer it because most people say, well, I don't have pain. I'm not in pain. Why would I go to the chiropractor? Your back doesn't always have to hurt in the traditional sense of, ouch, that hurts. Sometimes pain shows up more as a dysfunction. For example, you're starting to have more frequent headaches. that is a reason to go to the chiropractor. You're noticing that you're becoming more gassy, you're belching more. That's a reason to see the chiropractor. Your bowels are doing something very wonky. You haven't been able to move your bowels consistently lately, and you're starting to take aids to help you get there. The chiropractor can assist with that. And then one of my favorites, although this may not apply to everyone that's in this category, but dealing with the menstrual cycle and menopause, chiropractic helps with that. Those that are still menstruating, it helps them manage their flow of their menstrual cycle. For those that have heavy flows, chiropractic care has helped them bring that flow down to a more normal flow. It has helped decrease their menstrual cycle by at least 1 day, and it has minimized or alleviated their menstrual cramps. So it helped them on that side. And then as they're transitioning into menopause, chiropractic helps with helping the body to maintain balance as it's going through that transition. So there are numerous reasons that even without it being back pain, but maybe there's dysfunction going on that will send you to the chiropractor.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Yeah.
See, in my office, I changed the conversation. Most of the patients come in and they say, my neck hurt, my back hurt. Will you help me? But each time they come in, I teach them the connections between the areas of their back that they say hurts and how that specific area is tied to a specific symptom that they're having. And so then it starts to change how they come in. So instead of them coming in and saying my neck or my back hurt, Dr. Peebles, I notice I'm starting to swell a little bit. Or Dr. Peebles, my anxiety is going up. Will you check to see what's going on in my back in that one area you were telling me about? They may not know the specific name, but they start to be able to identify the areas that are associated, and that changes their conversation, how they address me now.
Yeah, everything is connected, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I know we said in our introduction of you that you work with athletes, injured people come to you when they're injured. How do you help athletes recover from injury? And are there specific injuries that benefit the most from your care?
No one injury is more beneficial with chiropractic or benefits from chiropractic more than the other. However, when they come to me, I address every component of the injury that I can. So I'm realigning the joints. That's the most important part, is realigning the joints. And the reason it is important is because the nerves are what's traveling between the joint spaces, and those nerves are going to help with the healing process and making sure that the blood is flowing through, that the regeneration of the cells or the nerves that need to be in that particular area is occurring. The communication for what the body needs to do and how to do it comes from the nervous system. It comes from the brain through the spinal cord. So by lining the joint spaces up, it allows the communication from the brain to do what it does. The body is able to heal itself in majority of the scenarios that or injuries that occur to the body. And so my job is just to allow the body to be in the space to heal itself. So that's why I line the joints up. And then after that, I'm addressing the muscles, making sure they're starting to recover. Because what people don't realize is when you're injured, the muscles are going to contract to try to protect that injured spot. So they're going to contract, become tight. They're going to swell up. It's a protective mechanism for that specific joint that's injured. So I have to take care of the joint and then let the muscles know they can relax and then care for them. And that facilitates their healing. And then there are things they can do at home. But when they come to the office, it depends on which sport they're doing as to which injury I see the most. I have some athletes that have taken care of that are high school and now college athletes. They travel back home when they're injured. If it's not taken care of there, if they have a chance to come home, they will come home to me so that I can work on them. I just had one come in for a shoulder injury, a shoulder sprain.
If someone sprains their ankle or has that kind of foot injury, that is still something you can help them with.
Absolutely. It's a head to toe workup in my office. And it does surprise people to know that I am working on their feet, but your feet acts as a foundation for your body. They need care just as well as anything above the ankles. If the feet do not plant and land correctly on the floor when you're walking, or they're hurting and you start to step on the outside of your foot versus the flat of your feet, then that's going to eventually work its way up your body, meaning the pain in your ankle and feet eventually becomes a knee pain, eventually becomes a hip pain, then your back, then your neck, and it's all connected.
It is all connected, isn't it? Oh. So do healthy athletes need chiropractic care? You don't just see them when they're injured, do you? And how often should a healthy athlete come to see you?
My athletes, and I have a wide range of athletes, from those that are home athletes to the ones professional, and they come in for preventive maintenance as well. When you're practicing, you practice hard. So you're creating injuries or creating stresses to the joints in practice. Getting chiropractic care during the time that you're preparing for competition allows your body to recover stronger and continue to allow you to push as you're trying to get to that phase for the competition in which you're at your best. But you still need to recover in the meantime, not just from the competition or from an injury. You can use it to prevent injuries as well.
We have a lot of fit, strong women over 50 who are training for different things, races or triathlons or 5Ks or a variety of running, biking, swimming, all those kinds of things. So is there like some sort of schedule that we should think about? How often?
Depending on which phase of training you're in, if you're training rigorously, mostly daily, get adjusted at least once a week. At the very minimum, at least once a week. And then once you're finished on the back end of it, when you've finished competing, definitely come in once, maybe twice, depending on what happened during your competition. Come in at least one time after the event so you can have that recovery to your competition as well.
So are there any special exercises or types of activities that you recommend for staying fit and strong?
Right now, the exercise that I've been having a common recommendation for people, start doing push-ups. Do your push-up. Oh. Yes, you didn't like that.
My most hated exercise.
The funny thing is that I just listened to Arnold Schwarzenegger say how important push-ups are. So
very important.
You and Arnold, you're in agreement.
Yeah, on that for sure. Do the push-ups, do the planks. There are so many benefits to that exercise. I mean, we can run it down. However, if my patients give me this look like, really? Push-ups, Dr. Peebles? Yes. I even read an article, and I can't quote it exactly because I wasn't expecting to use it, but the article explained the connection between being able to do so many push-ups and the healthiness of your heart.
Oh, okay.
Doing the push-ups, the more push-ups you can do, it kind of gives an idea of just how strong your cardiovascular system really is. And so I encourage my patients to challenge themselves. Okay, maybe you can only do 5 today. Do 5 today and then try to do 6 tomorrow, and just try to add 1 on every day. If that's still a challenge for you to do 6 until you can do 7. And just keep trying to do that 7th one. Okay, I couldn't make it today. Do the 6, pause, do the next one. And then eventually you'll be able to do 6, 7. 7, pause, 8, and then 7, 8. But you have to build yourself up and keep working at it. The key is consistency. That's where we fall off at. It doesn't matter if it's with dieting or eating healthy. It doesn't matter if it's exercising or some other skill in which you want to become better at. Consistency is the key.
So that's interesting. So push-ups, sticking with that is not just muscle as in arm, back, chest, whatever, but also your heart, your cardiovascular system.
Cardiovascular system and your core strength, because you have to keep the correct posture during the push-up. So you're working on your abs without doing ab work.
Isn't that nice? And I'm assuming that if we can't do a regular push-up, that a modified one is
still
okay.
has the benefits.
Good.
Do you have any suggestions for specific types of activities for staying fit and strong?
Keep it simple. Go walking. Now, when I say go walking, I don't mean the casual stroll and you can count all the flowers and the trees. If you can count everything that easily, you're going too slowly. Give yourself a brisk walk. Go for a brisk walk for at least 20 minutes several times a week, and you will see the benefits of that exercise. You can lose weight. You will see toning. Walking is an underrated, under-acknowledged exercise. Even instead of running, go walking. I used to run. Now I won't run unless you chase me. I'm over it. I used to do all the half marathons. I'm done. That's not my ministry. So I'm going to power walk. However, with me, because I power walk on a regular basis, just between the kitchen and the bathroom, I'm walking fast. I don't even know why. It's not like I have to use the bathroom that badly, but I will walk fast. So for me, I have to walk for an hour to benefit from what someone who doesn't walk as much can benefit from in 20 minutes to a 30-minute walk.
How does a chiropractor help with overall well-being?
This is a wonderful question, actually. It helps with sleeping. It helps with digesting your food. It helps with brain fog. It helps with so many things that our body is doing just to function on a daily basis. When I'm talking to my patients, and some of them that don't work out or don't exercise, I tell them, when you're exercising, don't think of it as I'm exercising to lose weight. Think of it as I'm exercising to be able to do the things that I do on a regular basis. So with chiropractic and getting adjusted, you can easily get injured just stepping off the curb or missing a step while carrying something. Those injuries can add up over time if they're not corrected, but it would eventually interfere with your function of carrying your groceries up the stairs or simply climbing stairs. You're starting to notice you're getting winded with activities that didn't bother you before. So chiropractic and the exercises and all of that will come together for your overall well-being. But the most important part is getting to sleep. And so sleep is where your healing takes place. Sleeping is where your healing is mostly taking place because you're lying horizontal and the body is in balance, so to speak. It's not working against gravity. So that allows for cellular regeneration and the muscles to relax. And sleep is important. So yes, overall health, beginning with sleep, chiropractic is definitely something you would want to add to your healthcare, your self-care routines, which is another trendy phrase that we're using these days. Self-care, self-care, self-care. But chiropractic tends to be left out of that because they're not aware of how much it adds to the self-care routine.
Thank you. We keep talking about chiropractic care, but can you tell us exactly what that is?
Absolutely. So with chiropractic care, the word chiropractic, chiro means manual and the practice of our hands. So it means that we use our hands to realign the joints. Our joints can easily come, so to speak, out of line, or they're not lining up correctly. And so we use our hands originally to put the joint spaces back in place to line up correctly so that they can move the way they're intended to move. What people tend to have apprehension about is with the manual adjusting is that there is the popping and the cracking. And so they become a little nervous about it. What I want people to walk away from here knowing is that we have over 200 techniques for realigning your spine. Yes, we do use our hands. That's where our profession started from. However, we also have tools that can assist with adjusting as well that make it not as intimidating for people. It's less intimidating to get adjusted. For example, in my office, I specialize in activator methods. And with activator methods, I'm using a tool that is a spring-loaded blunt tip tool that gets directly on the joint space, pop it back in place, and comes back off. And with that particular technique, your body does not even have a chance to react to it. It's moving so quickly. All you do is hear that I clicked the area. Some people say it sounds like I'm stapling them together. So the joke is when you go home, take a shower, the staples will fall out, but there are no staples or anything coming out of the tool. It's just a thump to the body in the intended area.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that like one of those thorough guns or I'm not sure the name of it, but a lot of physical therapists use that.
Oh, no, it's not that. And with this particular tool, it actually, someone said it looks like a pogo stick, the tool that I'm using.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to picture it. I know that there are misconceptions about chiropractors. Can you give us a few of the common misconceptions?
My favorite misconception is once you start going, you have to keep going. And my answer to that is when you bought the car and you had to put gas in it, did you have to keep putting gas in it so it to keep going for you? Well, chiropractic is the same thing. When you get adjusted and you're feeling great when your body is in alignment, then you want to keep getting realigned because you like feeling good, but you don't have to do anything. That's exactly what I tell my patients. You don't have to do anything. But if you want to continue to have the benefit of feeling better, moving well, sleeping better, and just functioning well, then you will want to go back, but we don't make you come back. Then another misconception is it costs a lot. You may be able to work out a payment plan that will allow it to be affordable for you. So you have to speak up and let the doctor or that office know what your concerns are and see what their options are that are available for you. Yes, you can get care without using insurance if that's an issue. They have options. They have options for you to be able to pay for it. So you have to ask the office. You have to be willing to ask the questions.
Any other misconceptions?
Let's see. What's another one that I've heard for us? Well, they think they only have to come because of an accident, injury, or sport. So that's why I take the time to teach them the other reasons you will come. That's why the book came out. Sex Sent Me to the Chiropractor. What inspired me to write that was that people didn't understand what chiropractic was about and what are other reasons you would go to the chiropractor. And when it comes to marketing and teaching, marketing in this country generally falls under 3 categories: money, sex, and drugs. Well, talking about chiropractic and money is not going to entertain you. You're not going to want to say, oh yeah, let me read that book about chiropractic and money. You haven't done it yet, so that's not going to do it. Then talking about money, chiropractic and drugs, well, we don't prescribe drugs. So that's not the angle that leaves sex. You say the word sex to people perk up. They're like, oh yeah, so what's going on over there? What am I doing that could send me to the chiropractor? And it is just entertaining to hear people's response to it. But sex was to bait you in. See, when you want to teach someone something new, you take what they already know, draw them in, and then have them leave with new information. So with the Sex Sent Me to the Chiropractor in the book, you're following the storylines of 8 characters, and you're following the forming of new friendships, the ending of other relationships, but you're also learning how chiropractic impacts the sexual reproductive system and the functions of it. So we're talking about menstrual cycles in there, erectile dysfunction, pregnancies, and injuries during sex that will occur, or being sexy. So it's not just being active doing intercourse or other extracurricular activities associated with sex, but being sexy when we put those heels on, or we're trying to emulate that sexy pole dance we saw on TV. We were like, hey, I think I could do that. And then you're on your back somehow. You just flipped or the pole fell. Those are other injuries that we would address.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the high heels. I quit wearing those when I was 35 and, tried not to look back because that definitely is an injury prone kind of thing.
It is balancing our bodies on those small little heels. That takes a lot of muscle work.
Yes.
And it's easy to step on. Oh, it's so easy to step on uneven ground and twist that ankle, roll that ankle.
And you don't have much balance.
No, you don't. And so that is a reason that can send you to the chiropractor. I want to wear my heels, or these heels they're taking my life right now. They keep landing me on the floor. I appear to want to play marbles, but I don't want to play marbles.
If you could automatically upload one crucial piece of health information into everyone's brain, what would it be?
Spinal health is a reflection of your overall health. So go to the chiropractor, find out what your spine is doing. You'll be amazed to find out that the state of your spinal health is reflective of your overall health.
Oh, wow. It's interesting. In your materials, you mentioned that you help to tackle healthcare disparities. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
So one of the healthcare disparities that I'm tackling in my office is the advocacy for people of color, when they're going into the healthcare field. A lot of times it's hard for people of color to advocate for themselves because they don't have the vocabulary. So in my office, every moment you come in there is a teaching moment. I teach you what your body should be doing. I teach you what normal is. I help you identify why it's abnormal. And then I help you identify the avenues in which you can get this treated if you need to go to another specialist. And what are some of the things you would say? And then I also teach you to trust that you know your body. You know your body. Too many times people are told, oh, there's nothing wrong. You're fine. When you're like, but I really feel like there's something wrong. This is not normal for me. I'm helping the patients have a voice and stand and trust their voice as they're going from any other office and explaining what is going on. Sometimes we're not heard, even if it's not people of color. Sometimes women, sometimes my older patients, the ones that are more seasoned. I don't like to call people, oh, that's not okay in my office. You're seasoned or more marinated in life. Those patients, those patients, their voice are less heard and they're frustrated with that. But when they come to my office, I listen to them and I tell them, you keep saying it and you keep saying it. Don't stop because you feel like that person didn't hear you. Okay, that doctor didn't hear you. Find you a doctor that does hear you. It's okay to change doctors. You do not have to stay at one doctor. If you're not happy, if you're not comfortable, leave.
That's great advice.
It really is. I'm thinking so many women over 50, who are trying to stay fit and strong, but meanwhile, your body continues to change, with, the workouts you used to do don't have the same results and things like that. And, I really liked what you said about listen to your body. So many of our guests have said that in the past too. So that's a really good thing for advocating.
Yes, absolutely. Listen to it and then respond accordingly. We hear it. How many times have you heard your children talking to you and you ignore them? Please don't do that to your body. Hear your body and then speak up. Ask questions.
So you just mentioned your book, Sex Sent Me to the Chiropractor. Where can we buy that?
The book is found on Amazon.com. You can go there and get your copy. Or you can go on my website, which is www. I heard people don't say www, but I am so www. So www.
Me too.
It sounds better that way. STL, because I'm from St. Louis. So www.stlprohealth.com. There's a link to the book on Amazon as well on the website. So check out the website. There's a blog on there. There are other videos where you can see me demonstrating some of the things that I do in my office on the website, but you can also definitely get the book from there.
That's great. So if people wanted to follow you online on social media, where should they go?
You can check out Instagram when I do post. Instagram and all of my handles are Dr. Danny P. And Dr. Danny P is spelled DrDanniP, like in paper. And that is my handle. And you can find me on Facebook at Dr. Danny P. You can find me at Instagram, Dr. Danny P. I don't tweet as much, so we won't worry about Twitter.
Okay, very good. We'll make sure that the links are on our show notes for this podcast as well.
Sure thing.
Well, Dr. Danny, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've been a great guest. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow. Dr. Peebles gave us lots of great information today. I have to agree with her that consistency is key, whether it's about eating right or exercise or making an effort to see your doctor for adjustments when something's just not right or for preventative maintenance when you've been working out really hard, working for a goal.
I liked her advice. I really liked the advice about doing the push-ups. I just posted, really, when I said Arnold Schwarzenegger had done that, I just posted in the Becoming Ellie Facebook group a link to his comment about how great push-ups are and how to start doing more. So I love when we get that synchronicity of, agreement on push-ups. So I definitely need to add more push-ups into my workout.
And I'm going to go back and take a look at the blog post I wrote a few years back about push-ups, because I've kind of let some of my push-up consistency go, and I need to get back on it.
Yeah. As she said, it's good for your core. It's good for your heart, which I thought was interesting. Obviously, it's good for your arms and your back, your chest. It's a great exercise, and right up there with planks. Just a little more movement than a plank.
Right. Well, and it's functional too. As we age, getting up off the floor becomes an important part of everything.
That's true. If you can do a push-up, you can probably get yourself off the ground.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I really liked her advice on that. I thought that was good advice. So I want to remind everyone that Chris and I are not doctors, and that Dr. Peebles is not your doctor. You shouldn't take medical advice from us. But if you've heard something today that is of interest, certainly do your own research and talk to your own medical advisors and let us know how it goes.
Yeah, I'd really be curious about what our listeners think. Let us know what you thought about today's episode. Do you incorporate chiropractic care as part of your self-care? Please leave us a comment on our podcast or our website or any of our social media.
And don't forget, if you're looking for an online community, be sure to follow us on our Facebook page and then join our private Facebook group where we encourage and support each other.
We're also on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
Looking forward to talking to you again on the next episode of the Fit Strong Women Over 50 podcast.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.